don't know if they're testing the Google as much.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Tuesday, May 24th.
May 9th.
May 9th. No, it's May 24th. The great edition of TechMasters. I'd like to welcome our president, Mr. Vince Bollinger.
Sergeant Aaron. All right. If you could all please stand. And if you care to do so, please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance and saluting our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a timer, please. Brian, could you please give us an opening invocation if you have one?
It doesn't take a hero to order men into battle. It takes a hero to be one of those men who goes into battle. General Schwarzkopf.
All righty. You may all be seated. We have a guest today. We'd like to welcome our guest to the meeting. If you could please introduce yourself, tell us how you heard about us and what brought you here.
Stand. Hi, my name's Christopher Parrish. I heard about this last week at the Digital Library where my wife works. Work in the software industry for the last 17 years, live in Minnesota, work from home, and excited to learn more about what this is all about.
How did you hear about us at the James Digital Library? Just
You present.
oh, okay.
Great presentation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Secretary, do we have the minutes from the previous meeting?
Of course we do. It's a matter of finding them. 517, one guest, Jake Jorgensen. Business meeting, we have a proposal from Vince to start the meeting at 7:45 a.m. There was some discussion around that. I'll move right into rules. Toastmaster was Vince. Cortester was Loris, 1 minute. Toastmaster was Nick. Grammarian's word of the day was erudite, having or showing great knowledge or learning. Table topics was Gwen. Our first speaker was Tatiana with her icebreaker. She was evaluated by Tony. Our second speaker was Brian for his icebreaker, and he was evaluated by Jesse. Our awards were, word picture was given to Loris. WOO, help me out with that acronym.
Wise old owl.
Wise old owl. That was Loris as well. Best speech was Tatiana, and the rest were withheld. The other awards were withheld.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Old business, I believe we had decided to take that offline, so I did send an email, I think. If I'm not, I'll try to iron that out this week. And any new business? All right, if not, we'll move on to announcements. Anybody have any announcements? Let's see if I have this. All right, again, we are moving. If you did not know, this is our last week here. Next week we'll be at Improving Enterprises, again, 3600 American Boulevard, about a mile away, on the southeast corner of Ranks 494. If you haven't been there, please try to show up a couple minutes early in case you get lost. But it's the main entrance, and it's right when you walk in, you turn to the left, and there's it should be really easy to find. I don't think the front doors will be locked or anything like that, so it should be a little easier. All right. Alrighty, so again, that user group, first Thursday of every month, that's always here at ILM. Should probably put that in because that's not the same page. We also want to make sure that we continue to promote, the events that might line up us might be at the training.
Right. A question on the logistics for the first meeting next week.
Sure.
At Pruding's office. Is someone going to be bringing the materials like the podium and the
An entire podium? I don't think I can fit that in my little
electric?
Oh, yeah, I think I can fit that in there.
So you'll be bringing that, and the banner, we'll put that in front by the door so you can see.
I was going to talk to you about that. Are they open right now? So I can just go there right after this?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, I will do that immediately.
Yeah, just drop it off there. I'm going to be, I won't be there, but
Okay. All right, as long as the doors are open. Do you have like an access card of some kind that we can get in?
no.
No. All right, I'll work that out with you.
We'll work it
But
out.
yeah, key though. Okay, so again, Tech Month, if you haven't been paying attention or you've been gone for a couple weeks, whatever, the entire month of June to kind of kick off our new move and also to build up on our membership drive, we're having a Tech Month. Now, a lot of times when we're here, about half the time we are discussing our latest vacation or our newest cat or something like that. But the other half of the time we do talk tech because most of us are in the tech world. And let's say most of them just about everybody except Lawrence. So what we're going to do next month is we are going to be focusing entirely on tech. When we do tabletop topics and stuff, whenever it's technical, and all our speakers will be technical, and we're ironing out some guest speakers and cool things like that. And that's why we do the 1 million cups of that last week to talk about it and how to show it, things like that. And we have an open booth at Open Source North. Oh, I should probably just quick mention, we're kind of signing up for talks. We're not ordering around. I guess I'd like just Brett to speak on that as far as what we need.
Yep. I got the list here. Sure. Mr. President, the Tech Month schedule is starting June 7th. It's like 4 coders meeting, which is going to be all technical related topics related to programming and software development. The 14th is related to devices, IoT technologies, and that sort of thing. The 21st is the future, where technology is going, cool things that have come about, just anything related to the future. And then the 28th is about life as a technologist, where it's going to be a little bit on the softer side, just things about working in technology. So we need speakers for the first meeting. We need 3. So anybody who wants to volunteer to present on anything code related, technical, for developers, let me know. We need 3 speakers there. And then we need 1 other speaker in the IoT side. So anything about a device, cloud, Mike Vankovich maybe would be a good one for that.
Okay.
So
What's the date?
the 14th is
Of June?
Yeah, I think we're going to mark Mike to speak about the cloud on that. Just
okay, I'll put it down.
He just does it.
All right, so I'll send this list out to the group with the open slots, and please get back to me if you're interested. I'll be taking probably one of them as well. I haven't decided which one yet. Probably we'll wait until everybody else tells me, and I'll take whatever as well.
So please follow up after the meeting and make sure that we can get that ironed out this week. Don't want to get people, one meeting. All right, great. And again, you have a booth at Open Source North. And another conference is next month is Thursday, June 9th, and we have a couple of people from our group who will have tickets for attending that and helping me out with the booth. I'll be presenting there as well. And we have a promo code, so we get a discount if you want to go to that. And it is in 9700 France Avenue, Bloomington, pretty close by here. All right, without further ado, which is stuff that no one cares about. We'll move along here. Dwarf Tracker. Okay, so Tatiana needs to be on here now. So I'll need to make a spot for her and mark that. Put you out at 9 already. Great. And we for Candace here. Who's the other speaker last?
Brian.
So I'll get him on here and slap a 9 on there as well. Unless you've got more than that manual speech on. You have more than your icebreaker. So 9 it is. Right, great. So if you have your manuals, please take them out. If you don't have your manuals, next week. That's still you guys.
If you're not speaking, do you need your manual?
You should have your company leader. At the very least. Also, every company leader. Come on, let's finish it. Right, so, Toastmaster. I'm just the person. I'm here just to tell everybody about the really boring business stuff, and then I'm going to introduce the Toastmasters, the actual real DJ of the show. And today's Toastmaster is a longtime member, a previous president. Please help me welcome today's Toastmaster, Brett S.
Good morning, fellow TechMasters, and welcome guests. Good to see you all this morning. I went to the gas station today and went and got a coffee and had to fill up my tire with air. And as I was checking out, she said, "Do you care to donate any money to the military fund for families?" And I'm like, sure, why not? And I was driving home, like, oh, they're probably doing that for Memorial Day. Oh, we're gonna have a Memorial Day themed TechMasters meeting. So I got the day started in the right mindset for that at least. So what is Memorial Day? I never really knew. I didn't know much about it. I kind of knew, like, my dad was a military guy. Every year I'd kind of like say Happy Memorial Day. I didn't really know. What I didn't know is that it was actually started after the Civil War. It was originally called Decoration Day. I found out that it's actually a franchise. It isn't like the other federal holidays. veterans of the Civil War actually started it and technically have ownership of the holiday, which I thought was a little bit different. I didn't know about that. So with Memorial Day in mind, it's coming up the 30th. And there's other things to think about and reflect on too. As a Toastmaster, as a TechMaster, we're going to be transferring to a new location for the first time next week. So that's something to kind of think back. Maybe be thankful for ILM for hosting us for the last year or so. And thinking back even further to maybe what you were before the club, and maybe start to feel thankful for the club and all the things that have happened. So there's lots of things to consider. I mean, I know it's not totally Memorial Day related. I mean, we're not fighting wars here in Toastmasters class or Toastmasters meetings. This weekend, I had the opportunity. I was in Omaha, Nebraska for my cousin's wedding, and my cousins in Nebraska I don't see very often because it's Nebraska, right? And so we see each other once every 3 years, and it's even rarer that I get a chance to see her extended family because it's only weddings and maybe funerals. I got the opportunity to talk with my cousin's grandmother, who's 95 years old. And because we don't know many people there, we kind of get to sit with the rest of the people that are related that don't really know people. One of them was the grandma. So I had a great time talking to her. I'm like, 90, actually, I think she's 94, going to be 95. And she just looks awesome. Like, she's fit, she's like a ball of energy. So I'm like, what do you do? I'm like, my grandfather's 95, he's not doing that well. And she's like, well, I still walk 3 to 4 miles a day. I've done that my entire life. I'm like, wow. I'm like, well, what do you do when you walk? She's like, I talked to my husband. And I thought, well, your husband died 25 years ago. And so that kind of started the conversation of her reflection, memories of her husband. She said that as she walks every day, she's convinced that, she made the right choice. She loves him more and more. She said if it wasn't for those walks and those conversations, she's convinced that she wouldn't be here. She says it's the memories and, waking up in the morning, looking forward to having those conversations with her husband that keeps her going. And with that conversation started, I got to hear about her husband's life as an electrician. And it was very, very clear that those memories were very, very powerful to her and very important for her. So keep all those that you love, that you have served, that have served the country, and other things in mind as we go through this meeting. Okay, with that out of the way, we're going to run through the process of the meeting. And what? Oh, hey, Vince wants you to take your name tags out?
Just newer people, especially.
Okay, yeah, name tags, everybody, if you got them. Starting the meeting with a little bit of levity today is going to be our court gesture, Mike Bankovich.
Thank you, Brett. Usually I do these little one-line jokes because it's like, quick and fast, but I thought with that opening oration that this really deserves a story. Improving is a company that is focused on trust, and we are going through this book called The Speed of Trust, written by Stephen Covey's son. And in there he talks about a story where his parents were up snowmobiling up in Montana with their grandkids, and we're driving home. It was real late at night. They want to get back from their cabin, and it was late at night, and both Sandra and Stephen were real tired. I don't know if you've heard of Stephen Covey. He's the author of the 7 Habits. But anyway, they're driving down, and Sandra's, or Stephen's like, I'm just so tired, I just have to lay down. Why don't you drive for a while? And Sandra's like, okay, so fine. So she's driving, he's lying in the back seat, and after about an hour, she's getting really tired, just can't keep her eyes open. So she pulls her to the side and says, Stephen, it's your turn to drive. So he gets out, gets in the front, she gets out, and they're in this big SUV that has a special kind of shock. So she shuts the door and says, hey, Steve, could you lower the car down so that I can get in? You have to shut the door to do this. Well, he heard the door shut, so he just takes off and starts driving. And Sandra's like, wait, and she's running down the road. And sure enough, there's a car coming along, and he sees, this lady get dropped out in stocking feet in the winter, chasing after her, mother, who was whatever. So he calls the police, 3 minutes later, cop car pulls up, and he's asking her, saying, okay, so what's going on? And the lady says, well, my husband, I'll get him, man, that sucker, I'll pull it up, we'll take care of him. And she says, well, what's your name? She says, well, I'm Sandra Covey. And he's like, are you related to Stephen Covey? She's like, yeah, that's my husband. Well, after a little bit of talk, they finally figure out, okay, well, this is what was going on. So he says, get in the car, it's, says, okay, we'll call your husband, tell him to pull over. So they calls up the number, and Steven's driving along, trying to be real quiet because his wife's asleep in the back. And the phone rings, like, hello? It's like, this is the state police. Could you please pull over and tell me where you are? And Steven's like, how did they get my number? Can they see me? He's like, yeah, just a second. He's like, pulling over, he says, just a second, I gotta ask my wife. Hey, Sandra, do you know where? Hey, my wife is gone! And the police officer says, no, she's sitting here next to me. She what? Mr. Toast, thank you.
Brian is acting as our IT today, our timer. Could you just tell us a little bit about your role? We have some guests today, so.
Yes, as timer, I'll be keeping track of the time of this meeting start time and break time and end time, as well as the table topics and the speeches. You can grab those. I'll be using the app, but I'll also use these because they're a lot easier to see.
Yeah.
So with the green, once you reach the minimum time, a yellow, once you're into you met your time, and then red when you're over the allotted time. So that's what my goal is for today.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. And John, are you acting for Marion today?
I am.
All right. So you are the John Tucker Marion. He's going to give us the word of the day.
Yeah, so this kind of just came to me on my way here of what the word of the day should be. And as I was driving here on I-35, there was a bus and several cars pulled over on the neck of the road, completely out of the way of traffic by this point, but everyone was crawling, probably slowly looking, rubbernecking, if you will, to see what the damage was, what was going on. And as soon as we passed that, it was full-fledged alert, and no one was around. There was no traffic whatsoever. So, rubbernecking, to gawk or stare at something.
Thank you, John. Can someone else grab the bell, or is it from here? We had a backup for you. We had you covered. Next up is our 1-minute Toastmaster. The 1-minute Toastmaster gives us a 1-minute educational experience. Loris, today's 1-minute Toastmaster is Loris Holmberg.
Thank you, Brett. Fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. Today I was told to talk on the theme of remembrance, and I thought for a while. And I thought back to when there was a terrorism incident in India. About half a dozen people had come from Pakistan. They were heavily armed. They were causing havoc in a city in India. This has been maybe 10, 15 years ago. Someone here may know what that city is. And my dad, who was a World War II veteran, was watching the TV with me. And he said, that has got to come to an end. You wouldn't, the things that I've seen, you just can't have things like that going on. Where it was a luxury hotel that was on fire, etc. And so today in remembrance, I would like to remember the people who protect us, both in the military and in the police forces. It's not that either of them are perfect, but we need both in the world that we live in. We live in a world where things go wrong, where there are bad people. About 2 weeks ago, a neighbor called up when I was home in the evening and said, did you hear the gunshots? And I said, I heard what were either gunshots or firecrackers, but I'm not sure which they were. We did not end up calling the police. And it did end up the next night, there were a bunch of fireworks going off. So it was fireworks, not gunshots, but it was the type of noise where on that first night where we heard it, we just didn't know. It could have been gunshots. Who would we have called? We would have called the police. So I would like to, in terms of remembrance, I would like to remember those people as Toastmasters. We should be thankful that we do have a military, we do have a police force. And if you meet someone from the military or the police forces, thank them for their service. Among the police services, there are about 130 people a year that die in the line of duty. So as good Toastmasters, good citizens, we thank them for what they do.
And next, moving into all of our favorites part of the meeting is table topics. And leading us through table topics today is a relatively new member, Tatiana Hayes.
Good morning, Toastmaster, fellow members and guests.
Morning.
So John, I'm gonna ask you the first question. Do you have any family members or friends who have been in the military?
Yes, Adam, table topics master. I have a cousin who was actually in the military. He went to Afghanistan, to Iraq, and then to, I think, Kuwait. So 2 different tours. He was not on the front lines. I believe he was more of a technician of sorts. So he never was really in, I think, any danger, but it was always kind of a concern, nonetheless, for a lot of us in the family. He has since come back and is now part of the Coon Rapids police force, so if he ever pulls you over, say hi. He actually was just telling us a story about how one of my cousins, his sister, Katrina, was on her way to go visit him and see him, and he had just pulled her over right on the side of the road. He was waiting for her that whole time. Just like strutting up, so proud of himself. She just rolled her eyes. I'm sure there were a bunch of people rubbernecking. So yes, I do have family. I'm fortunate enough to say though that they have come back and no harm had come to them. Thank you.
So Loras, what does it mean to be a patriot? What is the most patriotic thing you can do on Memorial Day?
Ms. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters. The most patriotic thing you can do on Memorial Day? Well, it would not be rubbernecking, it would be being active in some way. When it comes to patriotism, I would say that you should strive to be a good citizen. Among other things, be involved in the politics of your country, whatever your politics may be. Help shape the future. It's important to remember the past, remember where we've been, and it's important to work for a better future. Don't sit in a lazy boy watching some obscure cable TV channel. Rather be involved in what's going on. Life is an active thing, it isn't passive. Get out there, take part in your country. I would say that's the most patriotic thing that you could do, rather than just being blindly obedient to the flag of your country. Madam Table Topics Master.
William, how do you observe Memorial Day, share your traditions and activities?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. How do I share my traditions on Memorial Day? I'll first say that I haven't always celebrated Memorial Day in the way that this should probably be done. However, there have been some veterans in my family that we do remember, I think, every day of the year. My brother-in-law, who probably wouldn't appreciate me speaking about him, just retired from the military, and there are times when he tells stories and they start out kind of entertaining and kind of maybe fun to hear, and they rapidly go to a place where he doesn't really like to talk about, and then he'll catch himself and he'll stop. So I think it's important that we understand those sacrifices that those people do make, and this is the one day that we are supposed to, this upcoming holiday is the day that we are supposed to recognize them, and it's not about barbecuing and getting drunk and running around half naked, partying with your friends. It's about recognizing those people. So thank you.
Mohammed, if you are given an opportunity to join Army, would you take this offer or not?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master, fellow TechMasters. If I had the opportunity to join the Army, would I take this opportunity or not? That's a very tough question. I haven't really thought about it. I'll tell you what I've told my kids as they've expressed interest in either joining the military, armed forces, or police forces. Is as a parent, I'm concerned about their safety and that whatever career that they choose, that they come home safely. Yeah, that's kind of the biggest concern that I have. So I do not discourage them from joining the Army or the police force, but I do kind of sway them towards more of a officer role rather than being in the front line, because my son's 12, or he's going to be 12, and he's all about yeah, I'm gonna go in and do this, and I'm like, no, calm down. This is all great for video games and movies, You don't run around after you get shot a few times. There's no such thing. You've got to take it back a little bit and kind of look at it from a higher perspective, and hopefully one day maybe they will, or maybe they won't. I don't know if personally, if I had the choice to join the military or army, I would say I would have a tough choice. But if I had to make a choice, I'd join the Air Force, because I've always wanted to be a test pilot, but with glasses and flat feet, they don't accept you. So, Toastmasters.
Hey, Memorial Day is a toughie. It's not as flag happy as 4th of July. How would you decorate Memorial Day?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I'm going to divert that question and talk more about what Memorial Day means to me. I grew up in New York by West Point, and so throughout my life, I've known a ton of folks in the military. Luckily, and I'm going to knock on the semi-wood, no one I know has passed away, but everyone I've known has gone overseas, and the people that go over and the people that come back are completely different. And that makes a huge impact in how I think of the military and truly what sacrifices these people make. Whether you agree with the war or not, it's something you have to recognize. I'm gonna tell a little story that I read on Facebook, which was one of my good friends from high school. He did a few tours in Iraq and Afghanistan and came back and had no physical wounds, but of course was suffering from PTSD, the effects of what he had seen. And he gets a phone call from some person and says, former President Bush would like to speak with you. And he said, okay, is this a prank call? Okay, I'll accept it. So he accepts this call. And on the other line is the former President George W. Bush, who says, son, I need you to get treatment. I want to take care of you. And they go on this long tangent for about 30 minutes. He's talking to the former president. The president says, every single day I will be working towards helping veterans because I was the one who sent you over there, and I'm the one who's going to try and make your lives better and support you. So whether or not you support the war or you support former politicians, it's good to just recognize the sacrifice that the people overseas have made for us. Thank you.
Means, should we spend more money on army or police? Why or why not?
Thank you, Madam TechMasters. Hello, TechMasters, and welcome guests. Should we spend more money on military or police? Why or why not? Well, in case you don't know, I am a very staunch libertarian, and I'm not the biggest fan of spending as much money as we do on either the military or the police. If I could have about 45 minutes of your time, let's see. So, from the military perspective, what are we outspending every other country in the world combined? I'm pretty safe. I have a concealed carry permit. I can be with everybody in this room. I'm okay. I don't really need some protection. It's good. But on top of said facts, I would prefer to lead by example and let everybody know how. Just say, hey, here's how we do things. Here's the right way. If you do that, they'll convince people. Instead of what we really do with the military is more along the lines of you are playing ball with our corporations and our allied international corporations. So we're just getting started about that. And having a lot of people in my family military, having my dad in the military for 30 years, I was really thinking I was going to be in the military, but I ended up not joining because I decided I didn't care to go across the other side of the planet and engage in mass slaughter of innocent young people that have done nothing wrong, and or for the benefit of corporate materials. Now, when it comes to police, I think the number 2 issue when it comes to, I guess I would say 3 main issues I want to do. Get rid of the federal reserve, it ran in our foreign policy, and the third thing would be get rid of the drug law, which would explain the massive overspending on police force around here. And we would save a lot of money and keep a lot of non-violent offenders out of prison, even though I personally have never engaged in any sort of illegal narcotics and I don't even drink alcohol. So with that, I will end my maybe random people are sitting around here rubbernecking what's that crazy talking about. But I will turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Alex. So we celebrate Memorial Day in the US. In other countries, we celebrate Defenders Day. Can you give us some information about Defenders Day?
Thank you, Madam TechMaster. Celebration of Defenders Day. This is very interesting that the deeper you go in the history and the depending on country, you will find out lots of stuff. In general, we can say, for example, in Ukraine, Defenders Day was moved to August. And interesting enough that war is still going on now. And every day, 1 or 2, and every week now is subsided now, 1 person is died, even there is no supposed to be any active combat. So it is kind of hard to put together why here, why where are relatives, where are schoolmates, who is doing what. Overall, in the end, you kind of feel that maybe if you find a way to postpone any military action, even if it costs some lives, it's better than blind action where not single people, not tens, not hundreds, but thousands can die in a short amount of time. Historic technology of weapons. So from that point of view, you live safely, remember it, and try to encourage this as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Okay, with table topics out of the way, we are going to move into our break. So we will reconvene in 5 minutes. Can you put 5 minutes on the clock, Ryan? Copies back there, bathrooms and all that. Evaluators, speakers, and general evaluators, please come up to the podium.
Glad to be back home.
Oh, okay.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
All right, so you
Once in a while, I try to do something another.
You want to
Okay.
all right.
Just not happen.
You get to choose the speaking order.
Okay, is there any preference?
Yes,
Oh,
reading first.
Jesse wants to go first?
Possible.
I'm a second.
Did you have, okay.
Or did you want to go
Yeah.
first? No.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
I'm sorry, I should have.
No.
You can evaluate Jesse, because you have to leave.
Normally people volunteer to work last.
I gotta set up and stuff.
Oh.
Then I can go last.
I mean, did you, was he gonna evaluate you with that time? Oh. You're an evaluator? We don't need 3. We had.
Oh, now we just.
Yeah, I think William.
That's cool. Oh.
We didn't know it was following here. Yeah. Yep. Okay, and then.
Sounds like 2.
I'm sorry, but trying. Okay, tell me what is. Where is your 20 push-ups. Okay, tell me what I should do for if
Hey, Brett.
you will,
Hey, Brett,
Yeah.
if, she has a slide, can we put it on here, or would you rather leave it on there? You do it.
You're gonna use.
I am, yeah. I'll try to run this.
Yeah.
Yes.
The second one?
Yeah, it's okay.
It would be fixed.
Two folks to raise, and, I guess be as critical as possible. Most of us on the yeah, yeah.
I used the, like,
That one? Yes. I'm gonna just put it right on the desktop. Perfect. And, after I wrap up, I'll just, double click on it.
yeah.
Yes. Thank you for allowing me to speak for you.
What's that? Get it over with?
Well, no, I got it set up over there and.
Yeah.
So, yeah, be critical and.
general, what's more, your presence, your structure, just one, three, those things in tell me. Something like that. Okay. No, it's okay. I'm trying to construction. So, one, good for 3 bathrooms. If you want good for 3 bathrooms, or other way around.
Are you ready there? How long your speech does it go?
5 minutes.
Yeah, we need. Yeah. No, sorry. No, I'm not. Here.
Everybody's a little bit tense, of course.
Yeah.
Break's over. So we're getting off to a little bit of a later start. We had to switch computers up here. We're gonna move in next to the prepared presentations in our meeting today. We have 2 speakers. And speaking first is a somewhat long-time member. He was here in the very beginning, then gone, and now he's come back again. Willie, and when I asked him about a memorable moment, he gave me some comment about one of my relatives that I'm not gonna mention because it wasn't really appropriate. But he also said second to that was he recalls having fond memories coding when he was with Concord till wee hours in the morning with a bunch of his, nerdy friends at Scott Davis's cabin. So, and today he is going to be talking to us. He's going to give us a 5-minute introduction about Redis, which I know nothing about, so I'm excited to hear it. Please help me welcome Jesse Wolf.
All right, so we're going to be going over a quick intro to Redis. 5 minutes, hopefully, we'll see. It's important to know what Redis is, but it's equally as important to know what Redis is not. Then we're going to be going over real-world usages of Redis, because at first when I came to know Redis, I thought, oh, wait a second, what is this used for? Also, we're going to be going over the Redis adoption and then hopefully jumping into some code. So if you're anything like me, you probably heard about Redis, but you thought, well, it's just another database engine of some sort. So as you can see, there's a ton of different types of databases, but it's really quite a bit different. So first and foremost, it's wicked fast. There's claims of over 700,000 requests in a single second. So I mean, extremely wicked fast. And it can be wicked fast because it's an in-memory data store. So this isn't touching disk like some of the other databases that we saw before. And once again, it's wicked fast, but it's not a silver bullet for everything. So a lot of times when document databases first came out, they were trying to sell it as like it's this thing that's going to take over relational databases. And this really is kind of along that same line. It's not taking over any certain space holistically, but it has a niche offering, I guess you'd say. So you're probably asking yourself, well, when would I use Redis then? Where you have relational databases, document databases, and so on. Well, first, I'd say a rule of thumb that I generally use is there's generally a backing data store. So no matter what kind of data that you're serving up, you're going to have a backing data store for this data as well. Hopefully it's data that doesn't change at all or very little, and something that's maybe application-wise, so not user-specific type data. Another thing, well, needs to be lightning fast, but what doesn't these days, right? So some examples that I thought of were states in the United States. There's so many states, and they haven't changed for many years. You probably have a drop-down form on a contact, or a drop-down rather of states on a contact us form. Something like that maybe, or colors and their related hex values, or possibly some config values or enumerations that you might have. These are all application-wide data, and they're not changing data. So some of the adoption, some of the big players here are Azure, or Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, with clients and servers on Windows, Mac, and Linux. And then there's also some packages that we can play with as well. Some NuGet packages for C#. All right, so now, let me all cross our fingers. So I thought it'd be useful to go over just a slight demo, but are we on time?
Which time is it? 3:30.
All right. Maybe worth mentioning that you can, from a command line, do certain things as well. So there's a client. So if you think about how you used to possibly use MySQL or Oracle on the command line, you can do the same thing with Redis. So you can do something like looking at keys, which right now is empty. You can set foo bar is the example I always see, and then you can do keys, and then get all the keys, except for I got to spell right. All the keys, and you can see that there's a foo key, and then you can get that key back by saying get foo. and then a media bar back. So I mean, this is a real simple example, but it might kind of give you a high level of how you maybe set some config values in Redis. And once again, if you're having this lightning fast database at your disposal, there's a real good reason for putting data that doesn't change very much in there. So I came up with just a real simple example, putting in states. One thing to note, when you are doing this, you're going to want to load your cache up front. So that's going to be something that you're probably going to be running on your app start type stuff. So this kind of stuff up here, you probably shouldn't do within your controllers themselves. So Git states, actually it's probably worth mentioning, like those NuGet packages that we saw up front. The Stack Exchange is one of them. There's also a second one that's a lot more abstracted out. And basically that'll give us somewhat similar things as ADO. It'll give us a way to connect to the database. It'll give us a way to then, from that database, query it. So this is a key data store kind of a thing. So basically we're going to be storing states. And if you notice here, it's just a big long JSON string of states. Once again, this is something that you're going to want to load up front. Then it's nothing more than just setting this key to this value. So think of it as a dictionary of a sort. So when we go in here, and just so we can kind of watch it as it goes. So as we go in here, you can see that at this point we're getting a connection, we're just setting a string, setting the values, and then at this point actually writing into the database. So if we come up here, we should be able to see that as well. Now that we have states, the same thing as before, we do a get states. You see that. So now at this point, we can regularly use this data as well and for our app. And as you can see here, the same type of way that you get it back. And it's really up to you how you want to deserialize this data, but this is a general practice that I've seen. And at this point, the string get should have gotten back a string of data, which it did, and then we just deserialize it, and then at this point we have all of our states. So then throughout the app, you can use states or config values or text values and colors and stuff like that, just with a lightning fast backend. All right, and here's your great normal page. I don't really have anything more to add to that other than maybe just that, this isn't, once again, the silver bullet that cures everything, but it's your lightning fast caching option. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. I always wondered what Redis was. I never really knew much about it. I just did assume that it was another document database. I never really looked too much into it. But it looks pretty interesting, pretty straightforward too, so thanks for that. Next up, our second speaker is, I guess, also a relatively new member, not too new. She's going to be talking about Azure. I don't think I got your title.
Cloud Marketplace.
Cloud Marketplace, okay. And when I asked Leanne what she was thankful for, I actually read it wrong at first. I didn't pay attention to a comma you had in there because I was on my phone. She says, I'm thankful for a guy named Matthew who was my roommate and best friend in my 20s. He taught me things about magic, life, and creativity that I'm forever thankful for. When I first read it, I thought you said he taught me things about magic life.
Oh.
And I was like,
Tricks.
there's something I don't know. It's like, I need to know what magic life is. Please help me welcome Leanne, and how do you say your last name?
Valella.
Valella.
So I tell people my name is like vanilla with L's. So, there we go. So this morning I wanted to do kind of a broad overview on cloud marketplace. As I dove into this, I found it a bit overwhelming, so I'm going to focus on kind of high level 3 of the top players: Amazon Web Services, Google, and Microsoft Azure.
Black button turns it on and off, and then
Oh, sorry.
the over arrow. There you go.
So in the cloud marketplace, again, there are a ton of players. My focus was just to do a high-level overview because, as I mentioned, it was a little bit overwhelming. So a little bit of just history on Amazon Web Services. So they actually they had a lot of extra underutilized computing infrastructure with the .com kind of fallout. So they formed a company in 2002, but the cloud services actually formed in about 2006. It was a part of an offshoot of an internal project by a bunch of engineers. So Amazon is actually worth about $16.5 billion. It's their largest division, highest generating revenue within the company. They're estimated to be about 10 times worth the compute capacity of all of their closest rivals, including Microsoft Azure. So it's pretty impressive. And if we look at just marketplace and year-over-year growth, so Amazon is at 31%.
Wow.
Azure is at 10%. IBM and Salesforce, both under 10%. And then Google, who I'll talk a little bit deeper about, is at 4%. Now, if you look at year-over-year, though, Microsoft and Google were the big players in terms of growth. And this is from 2015. So what I found interesting, within just 4 years, this is supposed to be a $62 billion revenue industry, which is not that far away. But I also found that what's interesting is the growth is projected to decrease over the next 4 years. And this is taken from Gartner. So again, this year is supposed to be about 22 billion. Of that, Amazon roughly 16 billion. So this woman, I think, is somebody to watch. She is considered the queen of cloud computing. Her name is Diane Green. She was hired by Google in November. And she was actually, she's one of the co-founders of the company VMware. And then she was just working in a startup called Bebop, which most people didn't know a lot about. And Google actually bought Bebop for $380 million as part of bringing her on. The company was known to do something related to HR training and software. So she's, again, definitely considered sort of a person to watch. And I don't take anything that Google does for granted, so I'm kind of curious about what's going to happen in the next couple of years within their cloud area. So a couple of Amazon Web Services clients, a lot of big players like Netflix, Airbnb, the CIA, Salesforce just announced a deal that I'll talk about in a minute. But what I found interesting is Amazon Web Services is working with 1,500 other government agencies, so including the Pentagon. Their CIA deal that they inked in 2013 was worth $600 million. They've built specific government-only cloud centers for storing sensitive data. And then just in the last week, Salesforce announced they were working with AWS to build Internet of Things cloud that's going to be released later this year. And so it's a mix of both public cloud as well as private cloud, because that's most enterprises are doing some sort of hybrid version of that. So some of Azure clients, also big global players, 3M, Pearson, Ford, and GM Healthcare. The thing that I think is worth noting too about Azure is they have a massive sales force, so that's not to be taken lightly compared with Amazon. Some of Google's clients, also big players, Home Depot retailer, Autodesk is a software company, Snapchat, again, one of the growing social media platforms. And I think, again, I sort of focused on the three, but when I look at the marketplace, there are a ton of other players. If you think about it, Amazon only has 31% share compared to Azure's 10. So there's Rackspace, which actually partners with a lot of the big players. There's a little company called Roku, and there's a ton of other ones out there. So I think everything that I read in my research, Amazon is definitely sort of the preferred out of all of them, but I think they're weak on their hybrid strategy. So they tend to be dismissive of on-premise clouds. There's also the one thing to keep in mind, all of the pricing is considered fairly similar, like between AWS and Azure. So it really comes down to more features and benefits. So looking at some of the features that they both have are machine learning tools, as well as Internet of Things, and being able to host mobile apps. The other final thing that I'll share is Jeff Bezos in his shareholder letter said they've actually reduced their pricing 51 times with Amazon Web Services, which I found kind of interesting. So this is going to be me rubbernecking around the cloud in the next year or two, because I'm just curious, and I think it's sort of an interesting thing to be watching. I don't have any vast predictions, but I'm definitely going to be watching companies like Google as well. Thank you.
That was a good overview of all the different cloud technologies. I remember when I first started playing with Amazon in about 2007, 2008. So I don't even understand what this is. And you spent a lot of time trying to figure it out. And back then, it didn't have anything to help you. It was just a bunch of endpoints and some documentation. And watching it explode and all the other companies come out and kind of build their own flavors of it's pretty awesome, but it can be a little overwhelming when you're trying to decide what to use for a project. Okay, so that's the end of our prepared presentations. So we're going to move into the evaluation portion of our meeting, which is, you want this one? Okay, I'll wait till she comes up. So to help us do the evaluations, the voting, and all of this stuff, please help me welcome Marie Frum.
So my job will be to evaluate the meeting in general, excuse me. And introduce the various roles for the reports. Now our first evaluator is Alex, who is going to evaluate Jesse.
Thank you, Madam General Moderator. Thank you, Jesse, for speaking about rages. So it is not a vegetable lunch. You were feeling fluent. So as a TechMasters member, you're good. You can go there, deliver a speech. Do not stumble. Nothing bad happens. Cohesive speech. It's great. Now, what to improve? First, I think, in my opinion, it's better intro. It was not clear what is ready speech part, and so from something very wide to now to say which way we go with. Second, 5-minute speech. What you can squeeze into 5 minutes. So you need to drop huge volume of information and bring some very most important essence that people will remember. And this is not a simple exercise. You have to go several times to bring 3 most important things that really will impact people when they will remember a couple of things. So this is a very big challenge. And actually work for 1 hour speech too, because people have to remember something better to remember. So this squeezing, getting essence is very important in this very 5-minute speech. can get rid of on a small scale. So this is a movement. It would be on a video, but you avoided the camera so you do not see it. Intentionally, not intentionally, you move to a spot, you can maybe move from this spot and to this. I don't know, was it, try to stay where is my stand now. So you will see yourself and you will see what you do in this hand. Backs and arms. It's not bad, maybe you're in, maybe you're not very distracted, but maybe you're in so again. Else. And you talk to screen. I think for 5 minutes it is better to have very good PowerPoint and say, this line of code does this line of code does this, and we get this, people remember. Maybe a live is for more 2 hours speech for code camp. It's just again in my opinion. Overall, I was very happy to hear technical topic. I learned technical stuff, and I ask you to keep continuing this. Thank you. Thank you.
And I realized I did something out of order, should have ordered for the speeches first. But I think we'll have the evaluation, Katie evaluate Leanne, and then we'll vote for best speeches and best evaluator.
Okay, thank you, Madam General Evaluator. All right, so Leanne, first off, I really like how much research went into the speech that you did. It's clear that you spent time gathering information, organizing it, and making your slides, which were excellent, clear, concise, clean, pretty, just the way the cloud should be. So that was fantastic. I really liked all the information you gave. It was a lot. The cloud is, with so many players in the marketplace, it's such a diverse ecosystem, and you managed to boil it down in a very understandable manner that fit well within the speech time limit. So good on you there for managing, distilling your information down to the appropriate time. Some things where I felt you could improve. I think that the verbal pauses, your ums, you know, so's, kind of, those are really going to be your bugaboo. And thinking about ways to combat that, I tend to just pause, which may not be the best way to go about things, but maybe one thing you can do is take a breath and feel one of those coming on instead. That'll give audiences the same idea of, oh, she's going to say something next, but you're not actually saying the word. Apart from, and now I'm doing them, so let's see, apart from that, I felt that there could be a little more organization in the second half. I really liked how you started out with the overview of the major cloud players and went into Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and then it sort of trailed off a bit into Errata. But that really wasn't a big sticking point. Overall, it was very, very well done, and especially topical to me, since I'm working with Azure right now. So great talk. Just work on those couple of things, and I think over the couple of meetings that I've been here and seen you speak, you really made great progress.
Okay, now is the point where we vote, and so we're going to vote between the two speeches, between Jesse on Redis and Leanne on Pod. Could everybody please bow their head, and for everyone that thought Jesse's speech was the better one, please raise your hand. And for everyone who thought Leanne's speech was better, please raise your hand. Thank you. And we'll go to the evaluator votes. We had 2 evaluators. We had Alex evaluating Jesse, and we had Katie evaluating Leanne. Out of the 2, who liked Alex's evaluation of Jesse more? Please raise your hand. And who liked Katie's evaluation of Leanne more? Thank you. You may raise your heads. This is where I do the timers report, or I turn it back over to you.
You do timers report.
Timers report. Okay. So.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Awesome. So we've done the votes, right? Nine. Okay, the timer report. Brian, could you please give us the timers report?
Yes, the average report today, the table topics, Jonathan, Loris, William, Mohammed has just about a minute. Leah, just under 2 minutes, as well as Vince was right at 2 minutes. And Alex had a minute and 41. For the prepared speeches, Jesse, 8 minutes and 19 seconds. And Leanne, 6 minutes and 5 seconds. For evaluations, Alex, 2 minutes and 44 seconds. And Katie, 2 minutes and 6 seconds.
Steve, timer, Jonathan, can you give us, all right, or Marion, can you please give us a group?
Yeah. So overall today we had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 people use the word of the day, and they were myself, Loris, Vince, and Leanne. So great job. We had, through table topics, an from Tatiana, 4 you-knows from Muhammad. We had, for Clea, there were no ums or uhs or so's, but there was the lip smack that I know that you do every time you pause, so something to keep aware of. Vince had a couple so's. Alex had an so, and During the speakers, Jesse had a single several you-knows, a lot of ums, and even more so's. So those are the ones to look for. Leanne had some so's, ums, uhs, but again, it's kind of that lip smack noise of when pausing. Evaluators, the general evaluator had several uhs and a so. Alex had a couple so's, and Katie had a couple uhs and an um. That's what I have. Oh, and I'd like to just point out to Katie, I love the use of the word errata. As someone who has played D&D or, you know. I always forget about the word picture, which is
Pencil.
Tomorrow. The word picture, and you're going to have to help me remember who it was, but someone was talking about Memorial Day naked parties, and that's the one that really stood out. So I would do great shake.
And Tatiana is Table Topics Master. Is there someone you would prefer to give the Wise Old Owl award to for the most? Who had the most interesting response to all?
Should I think it was video?
And now for the best speaker awards, and that is this one, right?
The evaluator first.
And the evaluator first. So that is this one, the keys, and I remember that, the keys, because evaluations are key. So could we get a drum roll, please? And this evaluator goes to Katie. I've got it back. Oh
God, it's hot.
yes, it's talking fish now. And for the best speaker, can we get a rolling drum, please? Thank you. And now I would like to turn this meeting back over to Brian.
As Toastmaster, I get to give a couple awards, kind of optional awards. First one is the Fuzzy Mouse for, explaining a complicated topic in a simple manner, like you're talking to your grandmother or something. And Jesse, I thought your speech was pretty clear. I'm not sure my grandma would understand it. So, that was a good speech for a technical group, but my grandma, she wouldn't do it. But I think Leanne's speech for comparing clouds at a very high level probably qualifies. So I'd like to give this to Leanne today. And spark plug for someone who brought the most energy to the room. Any nominations? No one stands out to me.
Give it to William, he has a collection.
Yeah. And he did say naked. That brings us to the end of, I guess, my role today. So on this, I guess not Memorial Day now, but this coming Memorial Day, keep those who you care about in mind. And I'm going to turn the meeting over to our club president today for some final business. Welcome, Vince.
Thank you, Brett. Is there any new business before we wrap up with closing ceremonies here? Any announcement? Do you raise your hand?
Announcement.
Oh, we do that.
Oh, no, not that. I'm not going to do
Go
that.
ahead.
I'm going to do something else.
How about announcements?
Okay.
Brett?
I just sent an email to the group for the Tech Month slots. It all flushed out. We have just 3 open slots, so please look at them. And if anyone wants to step up, get back to me.
2.
Oh, you already responded? Okay. All right, 2 open slots. Thank you.
Great. Any other announcements? Great. Good. We had a little extra time to have this meeting. So,
I got an announcement.
yes.
The user group, .NET user group, June 2nd, corrected me last week. That's the user group on N-Service Bus and distributed systems. Please attend, and if you see my post on LinkedIn, come on, give it some love, share it, like it. That's how social
Sounds like you
media,
have a vested interest.
that's how social media works.
So, this is at the .NET user group,
Yes,
right? This is going to be a kickoff of the.
that is the intention, and it's under the covers right now.
Awesome. All right. So, yeah, June 2nd, that's the first Thursday, as I mentioned. There is a meetup here for .NET user group right here at this exact spot. And definitely encourage you guys all to go there. I used to attend all the time, but my wife works late on Thursdays, so I have to watch children. So unless you guys want like a baby in a toddler.
Definitely.
Well, I just wanted to announce there's going to be a Memorial Day party at Williams.
Where so the next week's Toastmaster is going to be Clea. So if you could please get a theme up before Monday afternoon, that'd be fantastic. So that we all have time to garner our roles around said theme. We want more than 4 or 5 hours of planning for what our role is going to be based on theme. And let's see here. So please watch out for her email there. And I think before, I guess we'll adjourn the meeting and have our last little bit of business here. So, do we have a closing thought from the timer?
Yes, in conjunction with the theme of today's meeting, Memorial Day isn't just about honoring veterans. It's honoring those that lost their lives. Veterans have the fortune of coming home, and as a parade, you see the veterans in there, but you don't see the people that lost their lives. So that's what this thought was about. Thank you.
Thank you guys for adhering to the very good theme today. And with that, I will turn the meeting, but don't quite take off just yet, because we have one last piece of business. For the last couple of years, well, initially when we first started our club, we were meeting at Benchmark Learning, which was about a mile that way, somewhere in that direction. In the east-ish, slightly northeast direction here, and it was a really great venue. It was an educational atmosphere. It was a place where they have continuing education for adults and especially revolving around tech. It was a great atmosphere for people coming together and learning and growing their skills for communication, leadership, and public speaking in the tech field. It was a really great atmosphere. And eventually they got bought up by ITT and they moved. It's like, man, we don't have space for you right now. And Brett was the person at the time, I believe, and we did some scrambling around, called some local companies, and luckily we were very fortunate to have another member of the community, ILM, step up and say, hey, we could host you guys. We host these groups, and we say, fantastic. And there's always a worry about changing, about how the host is going to be, whether or not things are going to go along smoothly. And I got to say, I was very impressed and very happy with how well they have been, how great of a host ILM has been. And they've been very hands-on, haven't been try to, co-opt the meeting or anything like that, or do anything to advertise. They're slipping little adverts, or hey guys, we're hiring all the time. And they left us alone, and they left us alone so much it seemed like they didn't even know we did around here. So, kind of interesting. But anyway, so because they've been such a great host, and we just wanted to thank them, so I'd like to ask Jen and Amy and Luna to come up here and accept an award we made for you guys on your behalf in recognition of your generosity in the last couple of years to the community from us to you. A little shy over there. Okay.
I'm gonna have enough coffee.
I'm gonna take a picture.
Jen and Amy who did everything.
Vince, you wanna share
Hold the award.
Hold the award.
Hold it. It's long.
Looking good, guys. Hold on.
We'll Photoshop them anyway. Just take a picture of her and then.
She can photo on that. Well, thanks, Vince. It was really nice having you guys here, and if you ever need space again, just let us know, because we're always here.
Right, great. And with that, you can all finally. Meeting's already adjourned. I can't really.
The first one. I didn't go down.